Habits are the compound interest of self-improvement, James Clear reminds us. In other words, a single small action, done day after day, quietly grows into something life-changing. It may seem impossible at first to change the course of your life with tiny steps, but each one compounds. Think of your day as a garden of routines. Every new habit is a seed. Repeated enough, that seed sprouts into an oak. Why do we so often struggle? How many times have you woken up determined to start anew, only to find the same old inertia by nightfall? We set vague goals. I'll exercise tomorrow, or I'll read more. And yet, motivation is fickle. By evening, the thought fades, and the new habit slips away. What if the problem isn't your willpower, but the way you've planned the change? What if the solution were hidden right in your existing life? Imagine for a moment the patterns you already follow automatically. You wake at sunrise, pour a cup of coffee, check your phone, drive to work, prepare dinner, clean up. Each action is almost unconscious. What if each of those ordinary moments could become a launch pad for something new? That's exactly what habit stacking is about. Habit stacking simply means piggybacking a new habit onto an old one. As one description puts it, it's taking advantage of connected behaviors by choosing an existing current habit and stacking a new behavior on top of it. Or as Clear himself writes, one of the best ways to build a new habit is to identify a current habit you already do each day, and then stack your new behavior on top. In plain terms, link your new action to a reliable cue that already exists in your life. This idea is deceptively simple, but it can be incredibly powerful. Picture Maria, a busy mom who loves tea each afternoon. She always pours a cup around 4 p.m. to break the day. One day she decided, after she pours that tea, she will do just one thing she's been meaning to do: read a single page of a book. It's tiny. She only reads one page. But because it's tied to a habit she already does, making tea, it happens. Day after day, tea time becomes story time. Her favorite mug and the steam rising become the cue. Over weeks, that one page grows into several, and soon reading becomes a cherished habit, not a chore. This is habit stacking in action. The old habit, tea, became the trigger for the new one, reading, chaining them together. We're not playing against our routine. We're using the routine as the launch pad. In fact, habit stacking is sometimes called a form of implementation intention because it embeds a plan into your day. Rather than vaguely hoping to start running this year, you say, after I lace up my running shoes in the morning, I will jog for 1 block. The time and place become built into the habit. As one productivity coach explains, it's about fitting the behavior into your routine instead of waiting for motivation. You make an intentional plan to follow the trigger. By giving your brain an exact cue, the clue to act, you free yourself from guessing or relying on willpower. You simply do it. To see how clear and concrete this can be, consider James Clear's own example. When I make my morning cup of coffee, I will meditate for 1 minute. What was once just pouring coffee now becomes a cue to sit and breathe. In this way, a mundane habit transforms into a gateway for calm. Or imagine this: every evening, the moment you set your dinner plate on the table, you immediately wipe the counter clean. Now, finishing dinner cues cleaning up, and suddenly doing the dishes feels automatic rather than optional. Sometimes the chain can be even simpler. Maybe while you wait for that morning coffee to brew, you do 10 squats or push-ups. It sounds small, but it's a start. A habit expert describes this perfectly. If you already have a morning coffee routine, just stack an exercise habit on top of it by doing 10 push-ups while you wait for it to brew. It's not as intense as an hour at the gym, but it's a realistic step. Day by day, that tiny muscle-building moment sneaks into your brain's circuitry. This works because of how our brains are wired. Neuroscience shows that every time we repeat an action, the neural pathways for that action strengthen, and the ones we don't use get pruned away. In other words, your brain is always allocating effort to the routines you repeat. By stacking a new habit onto an old one, you take advantage of a pathway that's already strong. Clear puts it like this: the reason habit stacking works so well is that your current habits are already built into your brain. These habits have been carved out over years. When you link a new behavior to one of those strong grooves, the brain naturally follows the path of least resistance. The old habit is the cue, and the new habit is the trail that follows. Given this, the trick is simply to choose the right anchors and cues. The cues should be obvious, specific moments in your day. For example, saying, "I'll do push-ups during lunch" is vague. You might forget when lunch actually happens. But making it concrete fixes that. When I close my laptop to leave for lunch, I'll drop and do 10 push-ups. Now the cue is crystal clear, the laptop closing, and your brain knows exactly when to act. Clear cautions that a good cue must be obvious and at the same frequency you want the habit. If you want to floss every night, but you try to stack it onto a habit that happens weekly, it won't stick. So, take stock of your day. Write down what you do naturally, in the order you do it. There's your treasure map of cues. You might notice, every morning I brush my teeth, then I fix my hair. That's a perfect place to say, after I brush my teeth, I will do 2 minutes of stretch. Or maybe, when I put on my running shoes, I will text my workout buddy and say, "I'm at the door." These are the kinds of micro-promises or tiny habits that can grow over time. The key is to be laser-specific about when and where. At first, it might feel almost like magic. You start linking habits, and one day, you realize you've been following this chain without even thinking. What was once a goal, "I want to work out," has become a reality. I simply do this thing every morning because my day tells me to. It's not about wrestling with your willpower. It's about reshaping your environment and routines so that the next step is just obvious. Habit stacking takes the guesswork out of change. You always know exactly what should happen next because you built it into the flow of your life. Let your daily routines be the anchors that hold your aspirations. Every time the kettle whistles or the car stops at the gym, see them as opportunities. Are you going to power through your old script, or will you plant a new, positive seed in that moment? By consciously choosing cues, places, times, preceding events, you design a life where the right action almost demands to happen. Think of it like planting vines along a wall you walk past every day. Each morning and evening, you tie a new shoot to that wall. At first, the vines are tiny and delicate, but with steady care, they climb higher and stronger. In the same way, each time you stack a new habit onto a cue, you're tying a small but growing piece of your future self to the structure of your present. So ask yourself, what is one tiny habit you could start stacking today? Perhaps after you lock your front door, you pause to write down one thing you're grateful for. Or after you pour your coffee tomorrow, you sit up and take 3 deep breaths. These seem insignificant alone, but day after day, they rearrange your life. In the end, remember that those small wins compound. As James Clear put it, a small habit, when repeated consistently, grows into something significant. Each intentional cue you place in your day is a step toward a version of yourself that you want to become. The journey of 1,000 miles is made of single steps, each led by a cue, each one stacking upon the last. So let your habits build on each other. Let your environment whisper the right choices, because in the quiet repetition of these linked actions, you don't just change what you do, you transform who you are. Your future self is waiting at the end of the chain you build today.